Hi everybody, this is a video, probably a longish one, to show you how to take through Design Space this new, well, it's kind of a development of the existing bouquet vases really, but it's a much bigger one with slightly different proportions. Somebody asked me to create a big one because they'd made a really huge one using the existing vase and found that the proportions of it didn't quite work. So this one is a little bit different. And it's got a different bow, and I've created a new overlay just for this one. So it's, as you can see here, the empty vase stands about 34 centimetres or 13.3 inches tall. And then when it's filled with the roses, the template for the rose comes with it, the whole thing, the whole bouquet stands about 46 centimetres, just over 18 inches tall. And the top of it, if you measured across it, the diameter is about 45 centimetres, nearly 18 inches. So it's a really big thing. It's an impressive looking bouquet. It's really beautiful. The actual vase is pretty quick to make. The roses do take time. Flowers do take a long time to make, don't they? There are 7 layers to each of those roses, and then the leaves and whatnot. So yeah, they're a little bit time consuming, but the vase itself is pretty quick. It's made different, even though these roses are on stems, it's made slightly differently, this one. Before, when I've had flowers on stems, I've used florist tape, florist foam, pardon me, to stand them in, but this time I've created a little grid that they stand in. I haven't got an empty picture of it, I don't think, unless I go to the instruction pics, but I won't. I'll just show you on the Cricut screen in a minute when we go into there. This is the one I made for the instructions, which is why it's not on the Etsy listing at the moment. So yeah, so there we go. I think it's a really lovely project, really impressive thing. Once you finish making it, it would make an awesome gift for anyone. And there is that grid. It does glue into the top of the vase, but I think there would be a way to make that grid bigger so that you could just stick flowers onto the top of it if you wanted to. I don't think it would look quite as nice, but if you wanted to do that, you probably could. Right, so let's have a look at it in Design Space, and then you'll probably get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So there it is. I've already brought it onto my canvas. All the parts to make the actual vase, whichever variation you make, come in the one SVG file, which looks a bit complicated, but it's really not, because once you've decided how you're going to make yours, you'll actually take most of this out. So I'll go through what we need to do first to prep it for making. So as always, with any multi-part SVG file that's got score lines, we need to convert those lines that come in as cuts, but which should actually be scores. We can't make them come in automatically set to score. In my SVGs, they always live in that first subgroup over here in your layers panel on the right. So all you need to do is click on the name of the group and it selects all the lines within it. Then you go to your operations menu. They're currently set to basic cut, so click on basic cut but choose score from the drop down, and you can see that they've been converted now. And because there's more than one set in there, we've got to ungroup them. So while they're still selected, I'm going to click on ungroup. I'm using the desktop version for PC of Design Space, so for me ungroup is at the top of the layers panel here on the right hand side. Second step is to select all the cut pieces, which conveniently are in one group underneath. So again, we just click on the name of that group and ungroup it. And the third step is to select everything on screen and ungroup one more time. So now everything on screen is a separate piece, and we can attach individual scores to individual pieces. Quickest way to do that, I think, is to click on screen somewhere near a piece, drag a box to more or less enclose it, and you need to attach, which for me is at the bottom of the layers panel. So these pieces here are the grid into which the stems of the roses go to arrange them. And because it's quite a big piece, because it's a big vase at the top, I've supplied it in one piece, which you could cut from 12 by 12, but I've also supplied it in two pieces, which you could cut from A4. You might even be able to squeeze it onto letter, but I'm not certain. I'm not certain about that. It's 278 long and letter's 279, so you'd have to be very careful with your placement on the mat. So yeah, probably 12 by 12 for those. A4 if you're in Europe, it fits nicely on. Okay, so we'll move those over there. These pieces here are for the bow. If I just show you it there. It's for this bow here. There's a ribbon, calling it a ribbon, it's a piece of card, but it's supposed to be a ribbon that goes around the waist of the bouquet, and then you've got this pretty two-part bow with a central wrapping band that goes in front of it. Those are all those parts there. There's only score lines on the actual ribbon, so I'll just attach those and move those away. This is the base of the vase, which is common whichever version you're making. So the actual vase itself, it's a big vase, as I say, but if you want to cut the walls in one piece, you can do, and they will cut easily on tabloid, and they will just fit on A3. I'll show you that when we come to make it. I'll show you what you have to do, but you can definitely cut those from A3. I've done it for all the ones I've made. So we'll just attach the scores there. So again, drag a box to more or less enclose it, and click attach. But this wall piece also comes in two pieces, a top piece and the shorter waist and base. So if you wanted to make this vase even bigger, you could do. You still can't cut that from 12 by 12, it's too big. So the two-part vase really is just in case you want to make yours even bigger. And of course, if you did, you'd select everything and enlarge it all at the same time so that everything still fits together. And these are the overlays. This one is just a plain full-size overlay. I'll bring it to the front. That covers the whole wall. This one is a lovely sort of a stencil rose, and again, that's the full size of the whole wall. This is just a border. I think it's about 5 or 6 mil border, which I've really included so that if people want to make their own overlays, you could maybe use that and weld things to it. So you could end up with something like this, but a different pattern. So that's the main reason why I've included that. And then this piece is it's a solid overlay, obviously. If I can bring it to the front again, but it's inset. You probably could create that yourself, but I've made it because it's just seconds work, and at least they're all there if you need them. So I'm going to show you in terms of cutting. There's loads of instructions in the PDF, by the way, that you get, and that tells you the sizes of paper that you can cut these from. So I'm not really going to go through that in this video. It would make it too long, and it's pointless because really it just depends what paper you've got, doesn't it, and what you decide to cut it from. So what I'll do is I'll choose a design and I'll cut it, and then that will give you a vague idea. So I'm not going to use those. So if this was me, just to stop there for a second, if this was me now, I've attached the scores, I've got all the pieces in this and it's ready to cut, so I would actually save this as a project now. I'd go there and I'd save that as a project, and then you don't have any of that attaching to do again. You've got all the pieces that you need here, however you decide to make it in future. But for today, let's say I'm not going to use those two. I'm going to use the rose template. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use the two-part walls. So I need walls. I want that template to go all over all of those. That's the base. I'm going to use the two-part grid because I want to cut it on A4. And that's the bow. I need that. Okay, so first step is it's an 8-sided vase, as you can see, that's an octagon shape there. So we need 8 walls. So we've got 1 there, so I'm going to duplicate 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8, 7 there, and 1 there. Those are my 8 walls, and I want to put the overlay on all the walls, so I need 8 of these two. So I've already got 1, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's click Make It and we'll see what Design Space does with it. Right, so first of all, you'll see that when we come to this mat here, even though these will just about fit on an A3, we can't select it, and that's because Design Space likes to put those bigger margins on things, understandably. So it's not going to let me fit those on an A3, so we're just going to go back and I'll show you what we have to do. So I'm actually going to get rid of 6 of these just for now. In fact, I'll get rid of that one as well. I'll find this in my layers panel. I just want to select that colour, and I'm just going to make it any other colour. For now, I just want it to be a colour that nothing else is. And then I'm going to copy and paste it so I've got two of them. Now if I put those together, I'm going to align them top and I'm going to attach them. We can see that they're 27.43, 274 millimeters wide, which is well within the width of an A3, and they're 410 millimeters long, so that's only 10 millimeters to play with. But I did cut all mine from A3. It will fit. So all you would need to do, we've got two walls there, 4, 6, 8. So that's the first little hiccup we're going to overcome. So let's just scroll down. So now it's put those walls on a long, those pairs of walls on a long mat all on their own, which is exactly what we needed it to do. Because I don't think, hang on, you see that's a base, isn't it? Let's just make that colour. I'm just going to detach those, move, detach them. Oh, for goodness sake. Why, what, have I grouped them? I didn't group them, did I? No. Detach. That was weird. Right, so I'm just going to put that in between those two. Yes, it will still fit within the width of an A3 that way, so I'm just going to align those top again. Oops, forgot about that. Bring that down. Select those and attach. So now we've got the base, which is exactly what we needed, so sorry about that. So we'll just ignore all these little bits for now. I just want to focus on the actual main body of the vase. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 A3s, which will cut the vase walls and the base. So even though you can't choose A3, you're going to use your long mat and you're just going to position your A3 card. It won't fit on tabloid, sadly, so if you can't get A3, you are going to have to use poster board cut down or something like 12 by 24 to make this, assuming you can get it in the weight. But in Europe, you're going to use A3. You're just going to drop it a few millimeters, 2 or 3 millimeters away from that very first white line on your mat, and then you'll have a little bit extra to play with. I didn't do that when I did it. I just put my A3 normally on the mat and it did just cut on. And if it didn't quite cut, all it would cut off is a tiny shave off the glue tab, so that wouldn't matter too much. So yes, main vase, cut it out of A3 or 12 by 24 if you can't get A3. That is the top section of the bow, and obviously that will just cut from A4. That's our grid, which I wanted to cut from A4, so I'm going to select A4 there and it'll give me 2. This is the ribbon and the largest piece of the bow, and that will still cut from A4. So now it's just these overlays here. So let me see what we can pick. So we can pick A3 now. We can pick A3 or tabloid. I don't think, no, I can't make that any better because look, even if we turned those round to slot them up there, we'd still need that one up there. So the overlays would cut from 3 A3s, the ribbon from 2 A4s, the grid from 2 A4s, and the main vase body from 4 A3s. As I say, if you're in the US and you can't get A3, you're going to have to use 12 by 24. Or, of course, oh, let's just go back and have a look at that actually. For tabloid, let's detach one of, because tabloid is big. It's just different orientation. Let's have a look tabloid. I'm looking at a piece of paper on my wall. 279 by 432. Right, so what happens if easy. So all you'll do is to make your pairs. That's nice, isn't it? You'll rotate one so they can squeeze closer together. You'll attach those and they will fit what we got there, 235, 235, yes, well within the width, which is 279, and 411 rather than 432. Yeah, so that's brilliant. So that's how you'll do it if it's tabloid. You'll just still have your pairs like that and you'll rotate them. It might be that you can't fit that base on. You might have to cut that in a scrap of something else or another whole sheet. But it's good that you can get those on tabloid. I didn't do that before. I didn't realise that before. So that's good. Right, so that's the vase. I think it's pretty straightforward, really. This video was mostly just to show you how to deal with the scores and how to decide what you're keeping and to throw various things away. When you come to cut or assemble it, if you have any trouble, don't hesitate to get in touch. The links are in the description below. So that's the vase, but of course this file, it also has this flower with it. Quite pleased with this flower. It took me a long time to get it right, but I quite like the way it looks now. So if I'll bring the flower in now. So you get the vase in one SVG and you get the flower in another. So let me just see where the flower is. I think that's it. No, that's got a rude name, that flower, because I was losing my temper with it. Ha! I hope nobody saw that then. It's this one here. I'm going to bring this in. Don't rewind and go back and have a look. That's just me. I lost my temper with it the other day. It was so frustrating. Right, I'm just going to delete that, upload it again. There we are. I'm not even going to delete that while you're looking because you'll be able to see the name. Right. Oops, a daisy. Okay, just scroll out a bit. So this is the rose. It's made up of 7 layers, and to make it, they are all bigger than each other. You know, you can see the increase in size, but so that you don't have to keep comparing them, I've actually cut a tiny number into the middle of each one, so you really don't need to worry about it. You'll know exactly which layer is which when you come to cut it. But because it's got that little number in the middle, we need to attach it. That's the only thing. So we'll just ungroup it to start with. The green bits, the sepal and these strips which are used to attach it to the skewer, which you'll understand when you get your instructions, and the leaves, they're arranged like this in the SVG because if we attach them, then they cut nicely from one sheet of A4 or one sheet of letter. That's why excuse me, I've just got hiccups. It's the fear of you seeing the rude name on that file. That's why I set them out like this, so you don't need to worry, and it's a good use of the paper. So yeah, one set of leaves for a flower will cut from one sheet of A4 or letter. Right, so because these have got these numbers in the middle, we do just need to attach them. So just select the flower and that little number. I'm using Alt Attach on my keyboard because it's a bit faster. But all it is, it's attach here in the layers panel, or wherever it is for you, different if you're on the mobile app. Okay, so if we send that to make it, I actually cut mine on A4. I think in the UK, generally speaking, if you want pearlescent card, most of us buy it in A4 sheets, I think. So if I choose A4 to start with, you can see that the petals are huge, and I've tried slotting them within each other and it doesn't work. The smallest they go on is 3.5 A4s. So, but obviously I made 13 for my bouquet. You might get away with 12 if you make them a bit looser than mine. But an even number is nice because, just press cancel for a second and I won't make that. If I just make that and then choose 2 and apply, and I'm going to choose A4. It took 3.5 for one flower. It takes 7 for 2, and you don't have any wastage on one page. So, and as I say, you can send those to print and not worry about how they come off because they're all numbered. You'll see those numbered when they come off. The PDF gives you loads of instructions of how to make these, from how to curl the petals to how to stack the layers and everything. So you can achieve a really lovely result with it. It is quite time consuming, I'm not going to pretend it's not, and especially if you're making 13. I'm really slow at making flowers, and I think it took me about 2 days to make 13 roses, which is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? I'm sure lots of you who do this thing all the time are much faster than that, but it's worth doing because it is a lovely result that you end up with. And of course, because they're like that, you'll just cut as many A4s. You probably cut 12 A4s of that. You could, of course, I'm blabbing on about A4, but of course you can use any size sheet, and if you use 12 by 12, yeah, it won't make any difference to the green, so I'll just hide that there for now. Let's suppose we were making 13 roses, like I've said the bouquet needs. Oh, yes, we'll just ignore the green. So let's just ignore the green, and we'll choose 12 by 12 for those. They're not doing it? Yeah. Oh, you still need a lot, wouldn't you? Yeah, 128. Good heavens, 6 to 28, that's 22 sheets. That's for all your flowers, though, of course. If we were choosing A4, then obviously you'd have your 13 sheets of green for your leaves. It's just thinking about it because there's so many, isn't it? So we've got 13 for leaves out of a total of, yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? You don't realise when you're making these flowers how many it takes. 59, 49, 46 sheets. I think that's probably about right. Yeah, for 13 flowers. Yeah, so it's quite a lot. I buy mine in packs of 20, which costs me about £5 from eBay. So yeah, the flowers for this probably cost about £1 each. Yeah, so it's not a cheap gift, is it? But it is a beautiful one. I think that's all I need to show you. If there's anything else you need to know, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can comment below or you can contact me on Etsy or Facebook, whichever you prefer. The links to do that are in the description below. And if you've just stumbled across this rather rambling video and you'd like to buy the SVG, the link to do that is also in the description. Thanks for listening. Bye.